So in the aftermath of the Delhi test win, India have taken a 2-0 lead in the 4-match test series against Australia. They have retained the Border Gavaskar Trophy for the 4th consecutive time, and with the way how Australia are playing at this point in time, you cannot argue that a 4-0 whitewash is on the cards. Who would have thought that Australia, the team that had lost only one game in that entire World Test Championship cycle before the India series, now are staring at 4 consecutive defeats that could see them dip in a big way. Now, the main question that we are all seeing at this point in time is an India versus Australia World Test Championship final confirmed? Yes and no to a certain extent, because there are only 3 teams now in the fray for the final, and there are 2 series that are happening side by side, but one series, because of this win now for India, one of the series is irrelevant at this point in time. I'll tell you which one. So let me get straight to the points table that is there, the PCT. Australia, because of those 2 losses, they were 75 at the very beginning. Now they have dipped to 66.67. India, with those 2 wins that they have had after when they were 58 prior to the series, now they have made a big jump to 64, the percentage points. Sri Lanka with 53.3. They now are the only team that can effectively ensure that an India versus Australia final is not happening. Because South Africa, with the win in Delhi, India have got into a 2-0 lead, South Africa eliminated. Yes, because of India's win against Australia in New Delhi, South Africa's 2 tests against West Indies now have absolutely no relevance. Because why that has happened? Is an India versus Australia final certain? All but certain. Because India will need one more win. That's it. If India win and the series is 3-0 or 3-1 in their favor, then India and Australia will make it to the final of the World Test Championship that will be played at the Oval on June 7th. If India loses both tests, then there is a bit of a problem. Because if they lose both the tests, their percentage points will dip to 56.94. But if they even draw the 2 tests, the remainder that will be played in Indore and Ahmedabad, their percentage points will be on 60.65. Now these 2 situations, 56.94 and 60.65, why it is dangerous? Because if India lose or draw the remaining 2 tests, if it ends 2-2 or 2-0, and if Sri Lanka win 2-0 away in New Zealand, then Sri Lanka will go through to the World Test Championship final, because they will get to 61.1 percentage points. India, if they draw the remaining 2, they will get to only 60.65. If they lose both, they will dip to 56.94. Sri Lanka will have to win 2 tests. That is the main caveat, because if India loses 2 or draws 2, and if Sri Lanka wins 2, then their percentage points will go to 61.1, and India, even if they draw, 60.65. That is why it is not certain. Whatever happens in the Indore test, if India wins, out and out, they don't rely on any other result, India will qualify for the World Test Championship final if they win in Indore or if they win in Ahmedabad. Remember this, Sri Lanka, if they win 2-0 in New Zealand, then it will be a problem for both India and Australia, because if Australia lose 0-4, which looks more likely that it will, their percentage points will dip to 59.65. Now, if Australia's result is 0-4 and Sri Lanka win 2-0 versus New Zealand, Sri Lanka will get to 61.1. Australia are eliminated. In the space of just 4 games, that is why this ICC World Test Championship final is so intriguing. If in the space of 4 games, if Australia lose all, then they are eliminated. That is how fine the margins are. If Australia draw 1 test, their PCT will be 61.4, which is better than Sri Lanka 61.1. So the major brief for Australia will be either draw or win in Indore or Ahmedabad. If they don't do that, and if Sri Lanka win 2-0, remember why the margin is 2-0. I will come to that in the next slide. If Sri Lanka win 2-0, if Australia do not win, or if they do not draw a match, they will be eliminated. Sri Lanka. Now, they are the only team now in the fray who can upset this entire India versus Australia dream final scenario. Sri Lanka, the brief is simple. Win 2-0. Simple. They have to win 2-0 versus New Zealand. They have to also hope that India versus Australia series does not end 3-0 or 3-1. Because remember, India, whatever it is, if they win one game, they are through. But if Australia draws or if Australia win, then Sri Lanka are eliminated irrespective of if they get 2-0. If Ind do not win the 3 tests, supposing if India does not win this and if they do not win the last 2 tests, then Sri Lanka can qualify if they win 2-0. If India win 4-0 and SL 2-0, then it will be Ind versus Sri Lanka in the final in June, because Australia will be eliminated. What about South Africa? Unfortunately, even before the start of the series against the West Indies, South Africa are eliminated. Their losses that they had against England and in South Australia in particular, that has hurt them big time. So South Africa are eliminated from the ICC WTC race. Even if they win 2-0 versus the West Indies, their PCT will be 55.5. Not enough, because Australia's percentage points will be 59.6, India's will be 56.9. That is the prime reason why South Africa are eliminated, because they needed Australia and India to have a series scoreline of 1-1. That was the major problem that they had to undergo, because 1-1, both their percentage points, at least India's percentage points would have dipped if it was a 1-1 series result. But that has not happened. South Africa eliminated. So it is very, very simple. India, one more win, they are through to the ICC World Test Championship final. Australia, they have to at least draw or win one of the remaining 2 tests. Then they will be through to the final. So then if that happens, it is an India versus Australia final. But if Australia lose 0-4 and Sri Lanka win 2-0 versus New Zealand, Australia are eliminated. Then you will have India versus Sri Lanka in the 2023 World Test Championship final that will happen at the Oval. Simple equation. South Africa are eliminated. So in a way now we have boiled down to the last 6 tests that are remaining in this current World Test Championship cycle. All that will end by March 2nd week. March 13th, everything will be clear. By March 1 or 5, the 3rd test, we will know whether Australia and India will go into the World Test Championship final. For Australia, if they lose Indore, they will have to then pray that Sri Lanka does not win one test in New Zealand. Because remember, New Zealand have also not won any series ever since that World Test Championship final victory against India. For now though, Australia and India is looking 99% certain, but Sri Lanka can upset the entire apple cart if they win 2 tests against New Zealand. So thank you so much folks for joining us for this World Test Championship final explainer. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Press the like, comment and share button. We are also there on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.